no problem throwing them right out in the trash. And that's doing far more damage and far more polluting than anything Vermont Yankee will ever even think about.
Now,
Smoke detectors, the ones you have in your house, some of those have radiation from them. And like you say, those go right in landfill and we wear out.
and we're not concerned about what's in our landfills all around our state, but we're concerned about a little bit of tritium
That's
at
right.
Vermont Yankee.
That's right.
Right. Let's talk about radiation in the United States. Where does our radiation come from?
More than half of it, 54%, comes from radon. And stop and think of how much radon you get from your own natural house. You know, it comes from the ledges, comes up through your wells. There are a lot of houses out there that have radon pumps, if you will. that
Especially in New England,
exhaust
because
it
of all
out.
the granite, right?
That's correct. That's correct. Cosmic radiation from the sun, naturally like that, is about 8%.
Mhm.
Radiation from the earth, natural radiation again, is another 8%. Medical x-rays, nuclear medicine makes up another 14–15%. Consumer products, like say the smoke detectors, the exit signs,
Coleman
food
lanterns.
you eat, Coleman lanterns, 3%.
So then that 1% that's left, the nuclear energy is within that 1% other,
That's correct, yeah.
plus other things that you
Yeah.
really
Yeah.
can't account
Right.
for because it's so small.
So you could say less than 1% comes from nuclear energy.
It's pretty interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, let's talk a little bit about Vermont Yankee. If Vermont Yankee closes in 2012, the state of Vermont loses 650 well-paying jobs. Plus, estimates according to economists that worked for the legislature have said that it's possible to lose another 650 jobs from the trickle-down effect of closing Vermont Yankee. Vermont Yankee now provides $100 million a year in economic benefit, and that would be gone. And that, again, is according to an estimate that was done by Dick Heaps, who's an economist for the Northeast Economic Consultant Group. Vermont would be without 38% of its baseload electricity and 80% of its in-state power generation capacity. Can you explain a little bit of that? What the what baseload power is and the need for baseload power in order to be able to bring any renewables or weaker energies onto the grid?
Okay, baseload power, Patty, is the power that's needed 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. That's whether the sun shines, whether it rains, whatever, the area needs a certain amount of power. Now, baseload plant is one whose intention is to provide that power. Means they're supplying 100% of their output 7 days a week, 365 days a year, 24 hours a day. That's what base power is.
We had a lot of people, a few people, say that if Vermont Yankee closes, the lights aren't gonna go out. We all know that that's not gonna happen. That there's plenty of power to go around and they can get other power from other areas. Can you talk about the cost of buying wholesale power?
Well, the actual cost of buying power on the open market, as it is, fluctuates day to day, hour to hour, sometimes even minute to minute. Yesterday, for instance, I got on the ISO New England website, and they list the power costs by the hour, and they were over $1,000. That's a megawatt. And VY sells it for $4. So, I mean,
Big difference.
if we were to buy from the open market, we would have been paying $1,000 a megawatt yesterday.
That is amazing.
Yeah.
That's a big difference. That's a
That's a
huge.
huge difference.
Yeah, especially the
Huge.
businesses trying to
Yes,
keep a bottom line.
that's right.
Patty, I'd like to touch on the losing the well-paying jobs if Vermont Yankee were to close. A lot of our adversaries say that, well, those jobs are still going to be there through decommissioning, and that we'll still be able to work at Vermont Yankee, which isn't true. You know, when rows decommissioned. Essentially, most of their personnel were all laid off or took severance packages, and then they brought in labor to come in and dismantle the plant. People who aren't Vermont residents, who aren't planning to stay in Vermont for the rest of their lives, who won't buy houses or buy groceries or, you know, shop in the local businesses. And, you know, I just wanted to stress that Brattleboro especially will be hit very, very hard.
I'm working right now, I've had a meeting with Brattleboro Development Credit Corporation, and they're very, very concerned about where we're gonna go from here and the economic development in southern Vermont, because Windham County is suffering already.
Absolutely.
Now, I've also had some people say to me, well, only 200 people live in Vermont, and we could retrain those people, and who cares about Vermont and Massachusetts, New Hampshire, Massachusetts, which I have to say right away, we've never put borders up in Vermont. I know a lot of Vermonters who work in New Hampshire and Massachusetts, so, you know, we are all dependent on each other as a region. But is it possible to retrain 200 people in Windham County? I mean, where do you see somebody who's trained in your industry being able to take their knowledge and bring it anywhere else in Windham County?
We don't have it available for us in Windham County by any means. I mean, I couldn't do my job anywhere in the state of Vermont, you know. I would have to move someplace to Tennessee or, you know, Texas or some other place that's not New England, not my home, and not where I want to be. And, you know, to just swap me over to work at a hydro plant, well, those jobs are very few, they're very difficult to get, and they don't have enough for all of us who are trained to be operators of the plant. And, you know, that's just me speaking. I don't know, you know, somebody like Tony, his job is very unique and it's not something that's gonna be translated to any job and that would be available in Vermont.
Okay, so now we're at, Vermont's gonna have to buy their power on the open market, which we know is expensive. Also, we know we have to rely on carbon emitting sources, and right now Vermont has a very, very low portfolio. The New England grid would be unstable without the reliable power. Can any of you talk about that and how the grid is set up and how other states rely on our grid?
Yeah, the New England grid is set up such that they can get power from point A to point B. So yes, we would not run out of power. However, the infrastructure, the lines, the transformers, the towers themselves would need upgrading. Electric wires are sized to carry just a certain load. And the load that we would need to bring into Vermont, if Vermont Yankee was closed, is greater than the capacity of the wires.
I've been told that in order to restructure the grid, if Vermont Yankee closes, it's gonna be a cost of about $71 million. And folks in other states, and ISO New England, feel that if the Vermont legislature is making a decision that's gonna cost that much money, it's really only fair that the state of Vermont pay the cost, not the other states who have nothing to do with the. So that's another huge financial consideration to be made. I'm going to talk a little bit about the economy from my experience, and you can jump in here anywhere that you feel that you can. Vermont Yankee contributes to the Clean Energy Fund, and we've all heard that money is put aside for renewable energy programs to be able to apply for grants. Up to this point, Vermont Yankee has put $35 million into the fund. Without Vermont Yankee, there is no fund. I do know in the legislature right now, Tony Klein, who chairs the Natural Resource Committee, has introduced a bill calling for a $1.50 charge on everyone's electric bill each month to make up for the cost for this renewable energy fund. So that adds another $1.50 to everyone's electric bill. The revenue sharing agreement that Entergy got into with the state of Vermont back in 2002 has literally saved the ratepayer $330 million a year. And those are numbers from the Public Service Board. I mean, those are true factual numbers. So $330 million the ratepayer has saved in the cost of their electric bill. Now I feel Vermont Yankee is good for Vermont. It's good for the consumers. We know it's excellent for the environment. And none of this would matter without the safety at Vermont Yankee. And that's why I have you here today, because I don't know nuclear power, and I don't want to know nuclear power. God bless you guys for understanding that. But I do know that I live in a community where many of my neighbors work at the plant. My neighbors one has a wife who teaches at the elementary school across the street. His children go to that school across the street. And none of those people would be in our community if there was anything to be afraid of. And I think I want more than anything for people to get that message. There is a lot of question about, the plant was licensed for 40 years. And it's only built to last 40 years. Now, I've been told that the 40-year license had more to do with the amortization of the plant than anything else. But can you explain a little bit about why you believe the plant was built to last and the infrastructure changes that have been made? I know since Entergy took over the plant, they've put something like $200 or $300 million back into the infrastructure of the plant. But some of the changes that have been made in the plant that lets you know that that plant is safe.
Well, we have an engineer, Larry Cummings, that does the reliability of our equipment, and we change over the years from the beginning of Vermont Yankee that we keep up with all the maintenance. Maintenance is just like your car. You want to change the oil. If you don't change the oil in your car's going to blow up. The engine is going to stop working. Just like Vermont Yankee. We change all the parts and components and some things that are coming towards its life cycle, and we put it in with new. We do a very good job at that. We're probably, out of 103 nuclear power plants, we're about 98 on top of the list of reliable equipment at Vermont Yankee. So we take very pride in that. And Larry Cummings does a great job, and we do a good job as a team, and it's a team effort out there. Everybody's a teamwork effort. And we have done studies on equipment and how long they last, and it's important to understand that concept. Now, talking about the lifestyle of a plant like Calvert Cliffs Nuclear Power Plant down in Maryland, I was there for their first plant to get license extension. They're well into their 8th, 9th year of license extension, and they're running fine, and they're running safe, legal, and efficient. And there's no reason why Vermont Yankee cannot do the same thing and keep up with the maintenance that we do and the outages that we do for PMs on the plants, and we can be a safe, legal, and responsible plant like everybody else does. That's why I feel that Vermont Yankee should get their license extension, and we should go forward and move forward, not just for the fair factor of the economy that we're in right now. We need to keep our jobs, not just in nuclear power, but we also need to create other jobs to help support nuclear power and other industries in the state of Vermont.
That about concludes our time today. I want to thank you very much for coming here today. It's been very good experience to hear what you have to say, and I think that our viewers are going to appreciate a lot of what you said. We will have another show soon, because I think it's important that we get the facts out about Vermont Yankee. So viewers, please watch in the future. There will be another show. For today, that wraps it up, and thank you very much for watching Town Square.
Thank you for having us.